He's a global superstar. He's really one of the first people that you think of when you think of professional wrestling. He's somebody that transcended the industry, and everybody knows who Hulk Hogan is. So this is shocking. This is very big, breaking, shocking news.
It began in silence. No grand announcement. Just the hush that falls when a legend takes his final bow. The wrestling world paused. The fans held their breath. When news broke that Hulk Hogan Terribalia had passed away, millions felt the sting of grief. He wasn't just a wrestler. He was an icon, a cultural force, a voice screamed in arenas and broadcast into homes. But tonight, all that remained were quiet memories weighted with loss. Before we go further, take a moment to subscribe, tap the bell, and like this video. If you believe heroes deserve more than flash, they deserve truth. These stories matter. Inside Tampa's arena, transformed into a cathedral of remembrance, thousands gathered, fans in red and yellow, bandanas waving, eyes glistening.
Or longer years since I got left Hulk Hogan, and my family is in the worst mess. Brooke doesn't talk to us. She's had twins. She got married. She didn't tell us. She had twins. She didn't tell us. She had a huge fight with Terry.
Ringside seats were empty out of respect. Instead, the audience formed a living moat. The gigantic video screens displayed archival footage, Hulk ripping his shirt, body slamming Andre the Giant, roaring, healing. Each replay echoed the roar of generations. But the heart of the night was reserved for one voice, his daughter, Brooke Hogan. She stepped to the microphone in simple white. No frills, no script, just vulnerability and love. She said, "You knew him as Hulk Hogan, but to me, he was Dad." The crowd hush fell like a blanket. Nothing else mattered. She shared stories rarely told. How Dad would kneel to pray before bedtime after sold-out crowds. How he took her fishing at dawn. How he'd write love notes on index cards and hide them in her lunchbox. When the cameras stopped rolling, that was the man she knew. She recited lines from a letter he left behind. "If I failed in music, family was my song."
We lost one of the biggest and most globally recognized icons in the world. A man I grew up watching, was fortunate enough to share the ring with, and like so many of us, were honored to call a friend.
"I loved you" louder than any stadium chant. Her voice cracked as did the many hearts around her. Tears flowed, but her tone remained firm, rooted in truth, not tragedy. This wasn't performance, it was tribute. Then came WWE legends. The Rock strode purposefully into the ring, picked up Hogan's belt, and said, "When we faced him in the ring, we looked at the man. He made us better not by threat but by belief." Shawn Michaels shared how Hulk taught rookies to show up humble. Ric Flair joked, "He taught me to stay flashy, but humble, man." Undertaker, in full gear, carried the casket into the squared circle. No pyrotechnics, no theatrics, just silence and respect for a man who had once been center ring.
Suddenly, just like that, and I didn't get a chance to say goodbye to him, and I woke up funky, and I went, "Shit, what is it?" And then I realized that was it. It was just like in here, in my wiring and in my constitution, that it was just hitting me, and it was heavy on my heart. So I wanted to share something with you.
Tonight, the ring was his monument. Between speeches, a tribute video played, family flickers, backstage confessions, occasional raw videos of him training, goofing off with his girls, walking through grocery store aisles, greeting fans. Real life, real love. Brooke returned for a second moment. She read a poem he wrote when she was born. "My baby girl rose like the morning tide. My strength reborn in her eyes." The audience broke again. Afterwards, fans lit paper lanterns outside the building. Thousands flickering into the Florida night. Neon lights spelled "Hulkamania lives." Raised fists saluted the sky. A band on a makeshift stage played Sabbath riffs remixed with acoustic. Gen Z fans and Grey Roots united in mournful joy. News flooded global media. CNN called it one of the most emotional tributes in sports history. Rolling Stone wrote, "He never walked alone and ran face first into the heart of fans." WWE released a limited Red Angelo tribute gear. Proceeds fund a scholarship in his name, the Hogan Hart Scholarship. for underprivileged athletes and performers.
Year you've been at the RNC, you're on Fox, you're doing this Great American Beer Tour.
Well, I'm always looking for an opportunity, now that I don't wrestle anymore because I'm too old to wrestle.
Sure.
And the thing came up where I saw an open lane for a beer, light beer that America needs, a beer that was made, for Americans, made in America. And the owners live here. We're the only beer company that actually lives here. And there was an open lane that somebody dropped the ball on marketing-wise. I'm not going to name any names. And so we just started, and we came up with the name, the Real American Beer, way before we got our nation back. So the timing was perfect. It's kind of like we jumped on another lightning bolt, and we're running.
I got to ask.
Off. I used to live in Minnesota. There's a lot of nice people up there, I lived there for 4 years, by the way. But the guy that challenged him, I wouldn't want anything to do with him. It's Kane, the Undertaker's brother.
Okay, yeah.
He's way too big and too...
Brooke gave interviews afterwards. She described grief as living alongside legacy. She said, "He fought headlines and pain, but only yesterday did. I realized the hardest fight was being his daughter under the lights." TikTok compilations surfaced, fans sharing what Hogan meant to them: a bullied kid who felt seen, a gym instructor who learned courage from watching him, a teenage singer who learned to belt out her songs like he belted catchphrases into packed arenas. The hashtag Hulk Forever trended worldwide with stories like, "When Dad lost his job, he stayed strong watching Hulk. Taught me resilience. My daughter found Daddy in Hogan. Tonight, we both cry. He was fake tan and ripped, but he taught us real grit to stand, to speak, to love." The tribute wasn't about nostalgia. It was about acknowledgement. Behind the persona was a father, a man who healed with a hug as much as he pumped fear into opponents. The narrative shifted, shed judgment of past controversies towards human appreciation. Brooke's tribute became masterclass in legacy. No spectacle, just authenticity, courage and vulnerability. She showed a generation how to honor without idealizing, to ache without bitterness, to mourn publicly without crashing privately. If this story moves you, share your favorite Hulk Hogan memory in the comments. Click like, not for content but for compassion. Subscribe for more deep dive stories about the people we thought we knew and maybe didn't know enough. Because Hulk Hogan's legacy doesn't just live in belts and chants. It lives in love, moments, courage. It lives in us. Rest in red and yellow. Hulk, you rocked a world, but you loved one even greater, and that voice still sings.